Peace over people. There comes a point in life when you realize that protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. For a long time, many of us were taught to prioritize relationships at all costs, to be accommodating, to be understanding, to be available, to keep the peace, even if it costs us our own. But here's the hard truth no one says out loud enough. Not everyone deserves access to you. And choosing peace over people doesn't make you cold, unkind, or difficult. It makes you honest. Peace isn't something you stumble into by accident. It's something you choose, often after learning the hard way what happens when you don't. When choosing people costs you yourself. There was a time when I believed that loyalty meant endurance, that loving someone meant tolerating discomfort, that being a good person meant explaining myself, overextending, and shrinking to keep others comfortable. So I stayed. I justified. I made excuses. I carried emotional weight that wasn't mine to hold. And slowly, without realizing it, I lost my sense of peace. I felt constantly on edge. I replayed conversations in my head. I walked on eggshells. I questioned myself more than I trusted myself. I told myself it was normal, that relationships were supposed to be hard. But there was a difference between growth discomfort and peace eroding chaos. And when a connection consistently costs you your clarity, your safety, or your sense of self, it's no longer love. It's a liability. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the presence of alignment. Peace isn't about avoiding hard conversations or disagreements. It's about alignment with yourself, your values, and the way you want to live. You can be in a room full of people and feel completely at peace. And you can be deeply connected to someone and feel constantly unsettled. That's your body talking. Peace feels like calm instead of tension, clarity instead of confusion, safety instead of anxiety, being yourself instead of performing. When someone disrupts that consistently, it's not because you're too sensitive. It's because something isn't aligned. And alignment matters more than approval. Choosing peace will offend people who benefit from your silence. Let's be honest. The moment you choose peace, some people will feel threatened. Not because you changed for the worse, but because you stopped abandoning yourself for their comfort. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will call you distant. People who relied on your overgiving will call you selfish. People who were comfortable with your silence will struggle when you find your voice. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means the dynamic is changing. And not everyone will be willing or able to meet you where you are now. Peace has a way of exposing relationships that were built on obligation instead of mutual respect. You are allowed to walk away without explaining everything. One of the most liberating truths you can accept is this: you don't owe everyone an explanation for choosing yourself. Closure is not something other people give you, it's something you choose. You don't need permission to step back. You don't need validation to detach. You don't need agreement to move on. Sometimes the explanation would only reopen wounds. Sometimes the conversation would only invite manipulation. Sometimes silence is the boundary. Choosing peace means trusting yourself enough to walk away without rewriting the story to make it palatable for others. You are not responsible for how people process your boundaries. Peace requires boundaries, not guilt. Peace doesn't come from cutting everyone off. It comes from discerning who deserves closeness and who requires distance. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks. They say, "This is how I expect to be treated. This is what I will no longer tolerate. This is what I need to feel safe and whole." Guilt often shows up when you set boundaries, especially if you were conditioned to prioritize others' needs over your own. But guilt is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something new. And new doesn't mean wrong. Every time you honor your boundaries, you reinforce your self-respect. Every time you choose peace, you teach yourself that your well-being matters. Not everyone is meant to come with you. This is one of the hardest parts of choosing peace, accepting that some people are seasonal. They were meant for who you were, not who you're becoming. And holding on to them out of nostalgia, guilt, or fear will only keep you tethered to a version of yourself you've outgrown. You can love people from a distance. You can appreciate what was without forcing what no longer works. You can wish someone well without inviting them back into your life. Peace doesn't require resentment. It requires honesty. And sometimes honesty means admitting that access to you is no longer healthy. Peace is a daily practice. Choosing peace isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's asking yourself, does this situation drain me or ground me? Does this relationship expand me or exhaust me? Does this choice align with the life I'm trying to build? Peace shows up in the small choices: who you respond to, what you tolerate, where you invest your energy. The more you choose peace, the quieter your life becomes. The quieter your life becomes, the clearer your truth gets. And clarity changes everything. You are not losing people. You are choosing yourself. If choosing peace costs you people, let it. You are not here to be consumed, drained, or diminished for the sake of connection. You are here to live fully, honestly and safely in your own life. Peace isn't loneliness. Peace is freedom. And the people who are meant to walk beside you will never require you to betray yourself to keep them. Choose peace again and again. Slay reflection. Let's reflect, Slayer. S. Where in your life have you been choosing people over your own peace? L. What relationships leave you feeling drained rather than grounded? A. What boundary do you need to set to protect your emotional well-being? Y. How would your life feel if peace became your priority instead of approval? Call to action. Join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. What has choosing peace over people looked like in your life? Or where do you feel called to make that shift now? Share your story in the comments. Let's cheer each other on. And if you know someone who's struggling to choose themselves, send this to them. Sometimes all we need is a nudge. This is Carrie Genzel reading a blog from stateofslay.com. Slay on.